Childhood sexual assault, abuse, and rape doesn't just affect memory or emotion. It rewires the central nervous system. I know I've mentioned this before, I'm going to keep saying it. It impacts the way the brain interprets threat, safety, sensation, and identity. And that's where the story of healing really begins, because survivors don't just carry trauma psychologically, they carry it neurologically. And I am finding out very quickly how true this is. And this is why when healing finally starts, the nervous system doesn't immediately settle. It often flares, not as a sign of regression, but at the first sign of reorganization. My psoas has been flaring for about 1.5 years now, and it is causing some major mobility issues and discomfort, and it's really impacting my quality of life. And that's because childhood sexual assault, abuse, and rape happens during the years when the brain is still forming the threat pathways, attachment pathways, sensory processing, emotional regulation, and identity development. Because these systems are still developing, the nervous system learns patterns that feel like truth, such as danger equals unpredictable, safety, inconsistent, affection, confusing, boundaries, punished, body sensations, overwhelm, freeze, protection, dissociation, escape. And these aren't choices, they're default wiring, the architecture the brain builds to survive. And thank your younger child self for creating such safety mechanisms to keep you alive. How intelligent of you at a younger age to be able to do that. And the wiring stays in place until something interrupts it. There has to be a catalyst, an awakening, something that triggers the healing, because when you begin the trauma work, maybe somatic work, interfamily systems, EMDR, nervous system regulation, you're not simply processing memories, you're unwinding survival adaptations that have been running for decades. And when those adaptations loosen, the nervous system reacts. Mine's reacting, and it's producing post-processing dysregulation, which can feel like brain fog, exhaustion, depression, irritability, emotional flooding, shutdown, overwhelm, feeling worse, feeling like you're regressing, feeling like there's something wrong with you. But I'm finding it's not regression, it's recalibration. And it's the nervous system trying to update old wiring with new information, which is, I'm not in danger anymore. Old wiring doesn't let go quietly. Usually it lets go loudly. And interfamily systems describes this with good clarity. It's the protective parts of you that are tired, the wounded parts that are surfacing, and the self that is trying to come online. But that self doesn't arrive like a breakthrough, one instance, boom, and you're done. It arrives like a quiet, steady whisper beneath decades of noise, and it's trying to make its way through that layers of trauma and chaos and survival strategies. And after a lifetime of chaos, that whisper can feel like doubt, fear, confusion. I'm getting worse. I'm falling apart. Is this aging? What's going on? You're not falling apart. Feels like it. You're falling out of survival mode, and your system doesn't yet know how to interpret this or the quiet. And quiet meaning you're safe and there's no chaos and threat. Survivors often experience healing thinking that it should be clarity, empowerment, relief, and they think there's this wonderful euphoric moment of you running through a meadow with sunflowers and you're just so happy. That's not really true. Actually feels like the opposite of that. But the first stage usually feels like dysregulation, emotional noise, nervous system chaos, exhaustion, overwhelm, shutdown. And it's not because healing is failing, but because your nervous system is relearning safety, and it is relearning it loudly. You might feel it. That's why you feel like you're off and there's something going on. You're not breaking, you're rebooting. It's like getting a new Wi-Fi router. You have to plug it back in, do all the setup, and wait for it to come back online before you can use your network again, right? So slowly the symptoms soften. Brain fog becomes clarity. Exhaustion becomes steadiness. Shutdown becomes grounding. Overwhelm is you learning to listen to your intuition, and dysregulation becomes regulation. And you begin to see the truth. You weren't getting worse, felt like it, but you were finally healing the part of your nervous system that was allowed to heal because you finally feel safe enough to be in your own body for the first time in probably ever.